You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
I want to know, what is it that you really miss doing, or something that you used to like to do, or whatever it is, because life changes and whatever it might be. So we'll talk about it right after this.
Let's talk about love and marriage, the way that God intended. Life experience, here we share it. The NoFruitPodcast. Tune in from any platform. NoFruitPodcast. Will help your spirit transform.
So I'll just ask you a question. What's one of the things that you kind of miss doing? And because this time of year, leading up to some holidays and, it's end of the summer, all those type of things, one of the things that Kafi and I used to do all the time was host a summer event. Because in all reality, we have two kids whose birthdays are in the summer, one July, one September. Both of them are really by either Independence Day or Labor Day, and so we would do something, I think I would go truly, truly overboard in some of those situations when we would do something. I remember one time, we're in the midst of cooking, and I ran to the store and bought some Murray steaks. And so I just want to know for yourself, any of you out there, what do you miss? So I miss entertaining. I miss that because we used to do it often, and family dynamics have changed. Family priorities have shifted. Time has changed. So even right now, with our children being 24 and about to be 21, 22. Thank you, Kafi. Mm-hmm. That even their interest and their time for their parents has changed and shifted. And so because we didn't make it an annual thing, we didn't do it always consistently. It's not like, hey, I know that every second Saturday of August, I can't go nowhere because we having a cookout, we having a family dinner or whatever it might be. So even some of the family traditional things have changed as well. So that's one of the things that I kind of miss. Because Kafi and I were talking about, hey, what should we talk about? She brought up in the summer. And that's one of the things that I'm like, hey, you know what? In the summer, yes, everybody's getting ready to go back to school and all that type of stuff. Yes, the summer feel like it went by very, very fast for me. But that's one of the things that I kind of miss. I kind of miss that family gathering. What about you, Kafi?
I can agree, whether it's summer or fall or, the that family gatherings have changed and shifted. And again, I understand it's totally different to do it as an adult, as you're explaining, Maurice, in reference to getting things together, getting the house cleaned before the people come, getting the house cleaned after the people leave. Mm-hmm. Preparing all of the foods and things like that. That's a lot versus, hey, what outfit am I going to wear? Because I'm going to go and hang out with my cousins. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to go hang out, somewhere else after we hang out with the family. So that's a bit different of focus. Still hanging out with the family, still the family gathering portion, but your roles and duties at said function, differ. So, but I think out of those two, I do, like you, Maurice, I miss the hosting and having people gathered together and making the most of any day. And it didn't have to be a holiday. We didn't have things on holidays necessarily,
Right.
especially in the summertime. It didn't have to be any reason. It was just like, hey, the weather's nice outside and we have gas in our grill and let's make it happen. Come on over. Not saying that there were a few events that we had that it was totally pre-planned, but then there were some that was just kind of, hey, why not today? So, so I think I missed some of that as well. I'm like you. I think the summer went by quite fast, but I think some of that is because we had a lot going on. We had a conference, that we went to recently, and then we're, gearing up for another trip later on in the fall. So I think, we kind of let the summer go by. No, we didn't have any plans. I was just saying that to our daughter the other day when we were driving around. I said, you know what? We didn't go to the beach. We didn't go anywhere this summer. And didn't really even have a thought of going and doing anything like sticking our toes in the water or just going close to the water. We didn't do any of that this year.
I think part of that is, once again, schedules, and so how many of you out there have adult children? And so your adult children have plans that don't include you. And so as they're out doing their thing, whether it's working, because in all honesty, no one is off at the same time. Literally, it's like everyone has a whole nother schedule. And so I think that kind of throws some of our planning off for anything we got, anything that we wanted to do. Like you said, if we wanted to go to the beach and we wanted everybody to go, well, we can't do that. So I'm a little more flexible than everyone else. So it's almost like I need to say, all right, well, today is wife day. Today is Sunday. Today is daughter day. But everybody can't go at once. And so I think that that's kind of the part that you don't foresee. It's not easy in that type of transition. We might have spoken about it like, hey, things are going to happen, but when it actually happens, as you're going through it, it's something else. Also, I think, to your point of us going to the conference, because we couldn't get them together, you and I kind of like, well, we're still going to do something. So I think that changes things as well.
Mm-hmm. I think it's all about what you want. As you said, hey, what's the tradition? Do we have a tradition? For us, we didn't have one, but I think it's my advice to everybody out there with adult children, even with little children, make the most of the moment that you have. It may not be what you did last year where you had a whole weekend event, and vacationed for a whole weekend, or you vacationed for a whole week. It may just be a half a day trip, may not even be a full day and overnight and all those things. And I know, Maurice, you like to take the whole day and if I'm going to drive all the way there, I want to spend the night. Well, sometimes that can't happen. So you just have to find a happy medium or just don't do them at all, So, like you said, I think it's not what our ideal picture was when we sat down and thought, hey, what's life going to be like once our kids get older and grow up and doing their thing. I don't think either one of us thought that they would have jobs that called them to work on nights or called them to work on weekends because, traditionally people worked 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And so that's kind of what I guess my thought was like, hey, we'll be able to continue certain traditions and weekend events and cookouts and vacationing together. But as you stated, even beyond them having other things going on, it's just difficult because of their work schedules, the types of jobs that they have. One of them works at a place that's open 24/7. So they could be called in or their shift could be whenever. The other one works, at a retail, and that is open 364 days of the year. And again, long extended hours, so they could be called in or need to work at various shifts. So
I mean, both of their jobs are 24 hours being employee-wise.
right.
24 hours, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, one, actually his place closes at 11, I believe, or something like that. Whatever it is. 10, 11, whatever it is. But still, I think at one time someone did ask if he could stay later and, do an overnight shift at one particular time. But I don't think that, or like I said for myself, I just didn't take in consideration the the how soon their schedules would change. I know, like, hey, you know what? Yeah, go and be gainfully employed. Yes. But I didn't realize that it was also going to be a situation where, in all reality, your days off is only on Monday and Tuesday. So that means every weekend you're at work. That means, him trying to coincide with someone like you, Kaf, you're off on Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to take off? Are you supposed to take off? And then you try to throw Janae into the mix, and she's on a rotation, which is harder. So how do you manage that? How many of you out there, even for yourself, like, how do you really manage that? Especially if you don't get that many vacation days. You don't get that many, personal days. How do you manage that? And how, and so, Kav, as you stated, and if you listen to that last episode when I said, to everyone, are you really maximizing the time that you have? Are you really enjoying it? Or are you, so busy and caught up in stuff that you're not able to enjoy the moment? And I know for myself, I haven't always enjoyed the moment. Yes, I would get caught up in the time and, hey, I got to work, I got to push, I got to do, whatever. And then I get COVID, and I'm just telling y'all for this, this past summer, which also threw off my time. I get COVID, and now I'm down. Now I'm thinking about my mortality. I'm thinking about, so some really, really weird, crazy things. And have I really enjoyed my time while I'm here? I haven't always.
Right.
You and I, Kav, we talk about it often how it's not until recently, more or less since the kids been older, that we've been able to really enjoy the idea of marriage. And I think that's some of the things that, when people talk about these type of things on social media or whatever, everybody's talking about, yeah, I got to go get mine. I got to go get my bag and all that type of stuff. That's fine. Do you. But there's a little bit more to life than just a bag. Are you willing to deal with being in a position of where, in sickness and in health, in richer for poor, like, are you really committed to those type of words? And I think some of us are not.
Right.
And we don't understand the real depth of those words either until you go through it. And then you go through it, you're like, oh, wow, like, I'm not built for this. Well, for me, I guess I was, because I didn't grow with a spoon in my mouth. I'm sorry, spoon. It could have been a wooden spoon, but a silver spoon. So I think that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Kafi, you and I spoke about how how our kids really come off like they're spoiled. Like they don't understand the struggles that we had because we hid it away from them to some degree, or we made it into something else.
Right.
So they don't, so when, our daughter who's moving on in life and having other, experiences and about to have way more experiences coming, very shortly. And we're like Kafi, like you said to me, Maurice, what did she see when she grew up?
Mm-hmm.
What did she have? What did she experience? And those are the type of things where we're like, all right, well, I know my mom didn't have cookouts like that. We didn't have people over our house.
Right.
And so is my daughter used to having those type of moments? She is, to some degree. Is she used to having, more than one snack in the house? Oh yeah, she is, right? Is our son, able to come downstairs and play more than one video game system throughout the house? Oh yes, he is. And so, again, those type of things where other households didn't have,
Right.
especially one that I grew up in. I didn't have that, so I think those are things that, again, as I'm asking y'all, what did y'all miss and what has changed for y'all? Like those are some of the things that has changed for me is some of the family times because of not just our children, but even our friends' children. Everybody got caught up. I mean, in all honesty, for those of you who are like me, where I coach little league football, right now I'll be at football practice or, or I'm sorry, within football practice or whatever it might be. And then next thing you know, we're in practice and games up until October, November.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then because Kafa, is in cheerleading with Janae, and then Janae got competitions up until Thanksgiving or even after Thanksgiving.
Right.
So, so you're talking a good 4 to 6 months, basically, of being busy. So now all of a sudden, and then not only that, leading up to Thanksgiving, then even on Thanksgiving Day, oh wow, like you think that, oh yeah, we're gonna get together. Well, no, we're in the Thanksgiving Day parade, right? So now when we get home, we're dog tired. Do you feel like, especially carrying them balloons, ain't nobody feel like doing anything else? So yeah, I think some of those things, lifestyles, experiences kind of took away from some of the other parts that we really liked and cherished.
So what of that do you miss? Do you miss football practice and football games?
And to some degree I do.
Mm-hmm.
So do I miss it as much as it's like a give or take, because can I sit here and say that one way was worse than the other? Well, those football practices and stuff, well, I was coaching my son. So I was able to have father-son time, right? So can I take that away? Not really. So it's really hard to say what the give and take is. Because as much as we like the family gathering part, I also enjoy being with my son. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, I mean, I wasn't saying choose one. I was just asking, the things that you had mentioned, whether or not you had, are those on your list as well of things that you miss from the past?
Yeah, I don't miss it as... It's hard because sometimes, as I was talking to my great aunt, recently about how the family has been disconnected. And a lot of that comes down to, and because the family does not visit one another like they might have back in the past.
Yeah, everybody's into their own thing. Like you said, there's not any togetherness. Everyone is in their own house and in their own corner, in their own zone. So all of those things, whether it was just getting together just to get together, and, it wasn't like, hey, somebody's having a cookout. It just kind of happened. Yeah. And those were the best ones to me. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't like all this planning went into play, where everything is now a production, if you will, where utensils have to match the plates and we have to have enough of this and enough of that. Like, you were just happy to be together. Were we without? Do I remember running out of food? I don't remember as a child running out of food. Mm-hmm. But I do remember going places and you could tell, like, this was not a planned gathering. Food wasn't all spread out and, all of those things. But it still was a good time because it was family time. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that you remember of being with family. So it's not about, hey, I remember that time we went to my aunt's house and she had matching plates and the cups and the spoons and all matched. And, she had 5 different types of meats and 14 different salads. As an older person, you might, because you host as well, but just in the midst of things, no. And that's not what makes that event special necessarily. So for me, at least. Yeah, like, oh my gosh, is it a talking point? It can be. But I think, what most people will remember is just that community and that family time. And again, it's not there as much as it used to be. I was looking at some things, I guess, from historic type things and just listening to the interviews, how much it was such a family bonding, like everybody was together, everybody counted on one another, depended upon one another in some regard. But now it's like, I'm independent. I don't need anybody. Mm-hmm. I can do this on my own. Mm-hmm. And that's where we are. We're on our own by ourselves, and I think that says a whole lot when it comes to everything else that's going on in this world. Politically, economically, all the lees. Mm-hmm. And then to try to do things independently, it's tough. I think we could be, as a people, as a couple, as a family, we could be so much further along if we, like you said, talked more, if we had more family gatherings. And we would certainly be, and we've talked about this, I think, on the show. I know you've talked about it on your other show, That Will Never Work podcast, in reference to, hey, like, if the family came together and talked about goals and financial goals, like, hey, like, where do we need to be? I remember, back in the day, people would get together and talk about insurance policies. Hey, I'm going to get an insurance policy on grandma. You know what I mean? So now nobody wants to talk about that. Like, oh, I don't want to talk about death and dying, let alone put out however much that might be to get an insurance policy. Now, some of those policies weren't good. They fell to the wayside, but that's hearsay. But, still the topic of everybody coming together, that's another thing that I miss. Now, again, we didn't always talk about serious business that I can recall, because, again, I was young, so even if they were talking about things, I wasn't always in the room or in that moment, but still thinking about where we could be as a people, where we could be as a family if, sisters, brothers, nieces, nephews, even just starting there, would come together and know what each other's doing and help each other out. It would be great. I think I was listening to somebody on social media, and they said, like, every month they come together and put all their money in a pot. And with that money, they help one person, for whatever they're working on, to kind of get them moving forward, whether it's to get things started or move things that they've already started forward. And I listened to that and I was like, my family used to do something like that back in the day, but it was called the liquor club. It was called the birthday club. And they would put all their money in a pot, and everybody would buy whoever's birthday it was that month a bunch of liquor. So that was their community of everybody coming together. I remember also, on another note, Pollyannas and birthday clubs and things like that the family would do together and support one another. And now that's kind of gone away, so.
But, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's not the same, though. Mm-hmm. Because on one hand, it sounds supportive, right?
Right.
But on the other hand, as what you're stating, we're putting money in a pot to help this individual. So are you going to take that $500 and spend it on liquor, or are you going to take that $500 to help them pay their light bill?
Right.
Right?
Or start a business.
Right. So I think those are two different
Oh,
mentalities.
yeah, they are different. But just
know-
the fact that people are talking, you know what I mean, says a whole lot as well. Where
But-
right now, it's like, we ain't even talking.
But again, so think about what you're stating as well. So if all anyone is doing is getting together to party, you are so far away from talking about goals and dreams and all that type of stuff. So that's really
But you're a lot closer than those that don't get together at all.
No, I don't agree.
Okay.
I mean, that's just, again, this is my opinion. My opinion. And the reason why I say I don't agree, because all I'm doing is supporting your habit or your place of failure. That's the way I look at it. So we're, one fail, we all fail. All right, that's cool for you. You get what I mean? It's not for me though. So, so I mean, I get the idea of, hey, we're supporting each other, we're there, but everybody drinking their problems away. That's kind of productive for me. And now again, you're talking to Maurice that's 49 years old. There's a 49-year-old Maurice. If you would have talked to 24-year-old Maurice, let's go 25 years ago, 24-year-old Maurice might have looked at things differently because of wanting to party, not knowing who I am, not understanding what my goals are, looking at, family dynamic and generational wealth and, goals and dreams and aspirations and desire for the children and all that. Like, I mean, I'm 24, 25 years old. 24, I don't have kids yet. So the adult Maurice, the more responsible Maurice, the one that wants to live to see tomorrow, the one that wants to say, hey, I want to see my grandkids, is a different space for me. And then here's the other part of that as well. For those family members that you see that get together in that space, right? Especially those that you see on social media right now, it is pure mayhem for what you see on social media. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure that there are some families that's out there that get together and they do that type of stuff, and they can have a nice social event, playing spades, playing dominoes, eating their food or whatever it is. But again, for me, like I said, at my age right now and what I'm looking to do, and I guess because I listen to some of our seniors as well.
Right.
Because of that lifestyle that they had, how healthy are they today? They're not doing the greatest. You get what I mean? So that's the reason why I said, like, all right, I get the premise, but I'm not down with it. I don't support that, though.
And I was more so supporting the fact that they're getting together. I understand, and I support what you're saying and understand what you're saying in reference to, hey, for alcoholic purposes or whatever, no, that's not a reason to get together. That's not a positive. It actually is the reverse. But in reference to just the family getting together, it's something that doesn't happen. And like you just said, hey, one of the things that you miss is the family gatherings, a cookout, a summertime gathering with friends and family.
Right.
And we just haven't had that in some time.
Yeah. I mean, and so now let me clarify this as well. Even when we did get together, did we have some beverages there? We did. That's like, so let's not fake the funk on that, right? We did have alcoholic beverages, but no one left drunk. No one left with in a position where we're like, we're not sure if they're gonna get home. You get what I mean? No one left in that state, and so Yeah, so I think that's, so I just want to make sure that y'all are clear on that as well. That I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, we're goody two shoes and all we had was iced tea. No, we had hard iced tea maybe, or whatever. But, and we had, stuff that might have been harder than that. But I just want to make sure that we're clear that, I'm not really condoning the, at this stage, again, in my life, because I've seen so many other situations and outcomes that just have not been progressive, productive. And we have had, because of some of those things that turn into other addictions, there's some people that didn't even make 60 years old. You get what I mean? There's some people, cousins or whatever else, that were life of the party. We miss their laughter. We miss their jokes and all that type of stuff, but they're not here anymore. You get what I mean? So unfortunately that's why I said for me, it's just kind of some of those negative spaces in that. That's all, so, but I totally understand. I totally agree with the family getting together.
Mm-hmm.
I do, I am there though.
So when are you hosting your next event?
Oh, probably never. I don't know because of, again, here's the other part of this as well. For those of you who are like me, probably not in the place or space that you want to be in to host again. Maybe you want to be in another location, being where you live. Maybe you don't want to, put the money out there to rent a hall or whatever it is, but it might be something we might really need to consider. We've talked about it. We just never pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the thought hasn't been there. And the other thing is that, like, because of all these funerals, everybody's like, hey, unfortunately, I had a cousin say, we're getting together for somebody's birthday and it's not a funeral. 2 weeks later, it's a funeral. You get what I mean? So, yeah, it's just kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. So, but those are the type of things that, I kind of miss. I kind of miss that family gathering to some degree. And then the other part is that, like you said, beyond being individuals, leaning on ourselves, we can't trust each other for whatever reason because we don't know each other. We're technically strangers to some degree. So I think that's the other difference as well. But, let me know what y'all thoughts are and how y'all feel about some of the things that y'all miss, especially at the end of the summer, Gary going to the fall, all that type of stuff. So I thank y'all very much for listening.
Thank you so much.
And we'll talk to you a little later.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the No Fruit Podcast, where we bring you fruitful conversations, ripened wisdom, and love that's deeply rooted. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration in their day. Until next time, stay rooted in love, and remember, every seed you plant today shapes the fruit of tomorrow.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.